Hello, good morning on this lovely Sunday morning. And today we're going to discuss a topic which has come to my notice for last 2 days. I received 2 cases of FUT scar revision, which I corrected, did W-plasty. And I was thinking I will talk about this in today's live session because I'm already in the process of making the video on W-plasty technique. And I have had several such cases and I have made 2 or 3 videos before as well. But since this patient came over, and I thought I would concentrate the next 2-3 days in discussing about FUT scar revision and also mention something about FUE scar revision, which I'll do in greater detail later on, probably next week. So a hair transplant is not something that is like walking into a McDonald's and ordering a takeaway, and least of all like a drive-in into a McDonald's. Hair transplant is a surgical procedure, and for surgical procedures you have to use due diligence, due patience, think over the plan, make a plan ahead so that as the years come by you do not repent something that you decided on a whim against medical advice. As far as FUT scars are concerned, FUT scars can be very wide. FUT scars can look quite obvious, especially if there is thinning, miniaturization in the surrounding hair, or if an FUE technique had already been done after the procedure, that is FUT, or a combination of FUT and FUE was done, severely depleting the number of hair above the FUT scar can reveal the scar to the naked eye and be quite embarrassing. Besides FUE scar revision, it becomes imperative for reducing the size of the FUT scar or eliminating it completely, almost completely. Completely, there's no such thing as completely in surgery because you cannot completely remove a scar anywhere in the body. You can only make it less visible. You can deceive the eye by doing certain surgical tricks which do not make it too obvious to the untrained eye. So one has to be very circumspect about how old the scar is. Any FUT scar which is less than 1 year, 1.5 years to 2 years is not amenable to revision. Why is this so? Because scar modulation continues up to 18 months or even more. And if during this time when the scar has not yet reached its final stage, God forbid you were to do a revision procedure, it can make the scar appear worse after the procedure than before it. So there is a time limit, that is 18 months minimum, for you to wait before scar revision can be done. Either scar revision by W-plasty, excision and Z-plasty, or adding FUE grafts. Because if you add FUE grafts, the scar is not supple yet. It is tough. Remodeling is still going on. The grafts are not going to survive because it doesn't have adequate blood supply yet. So that will be a failed procedure at trying to attempt to cover the grafts, cover the FUT scar with FUE grafts will be a failed procedure. So therefore, do not jump into scar revision of FUT scars till such time medically the scar has settled, it has become supple, it has regained to some extent the blood supply which will be supporting the grafts which have been implanted. So there are 2 techniques of repairing FUT scars. One is by removing the scar and closing it by an interdigitating W-plasty, or what is called as Z-plasty in a broad sense. The other method to close, not to close, but to conceal or decrease the visibility of an FUT scar is to implant FUE grafts, that you harvest grafts either from the beard, because beard hair is thicker 3 times, either from the beard or from the scalp, preferably under the scar, so that it doesn't get even more revealed. And you implant them, and usually about 300 to 600 grafts are required for a moderate size FUT scar. But if it is wide, no amount of grafts can conceal it because it will still be visible, because it's a line. It's difficult to conceal a line. So if it is a linear scar, wide scar, FUE implantation of FUE grafts is not going to help, because you might be able to conceal or reduce the visibility by 60%, but you have not been able to break the line which can easily be seen from a distance. So this line can be broken by a technique called W-plasty, which after a few days I'm going to do a video on W-plasty, and I'm going to showcase it to you. So as far as FUT scars are concerned, you cannot completely remove an FUT scar. You can only hide it by W-plasty, as I said, and trichophytic closure. And trichophytic closure is a bad word these days. Every FUT surgeon promises an FUT closure by using the trichophytic technique, but somehow the scar enlarges. So what is missing? Why is a trichophytic closure promised, but when the scar shapes up after 6 months, it's a wide scar and no hair has grown into the scar? It happens because the tightness of the scalp laxity has not been taken into account. If a person's scalp is very tight and you do an FUT procedure, it is bound to stretch over time. Whether you're doing a trichophytic closure, whether you're doing a Z-plasty, nothing is going to come of avail if the scalp tension, that is a tension below the lower margin of the scar and the upper margin of the scalp is high. It's going to eventually, the forces of pull in the skin are going to stretch the scar to about 1 centimeter thickness, 2 centimeter, 2.5, even 3 centimeters at times. So this has to be taken into consideration. There is no, in hair transplant, you have to follow the advice of a person, of a doctor who's ethically bound by the ethicality of his degrees, of his medical societies where he practices. So these are the two techniques that we use: FUT scar revision and FUE scar revision. Something about FUE scar revision, because next week we are going to deal with it in a greater, in a broader perspective. People think that they have had an over-harvesting of the donor area. There are multiple grafts taken, the multiple scars, round scars, sometimes even big scars, because big punch size has been used. And they mistakenly believe that this is because of absence of hair. See, the hair shaft diameter is only 0.06 millimeters average, whereas the size of this punch graft, the scar that is formed, is 0.6, minimum 0.6 millimeters. So there's a 10 times disparity between the hair shaft diameter and the diameter of the scar. How can we even, by any stretch of imagination, even think that planting a graft, a hair, which is 10 times lesser than the width of the scar, FUE scar, is going to conceal it in any manner? It's not possible at all. So therefore, patients who come to me, I advise them that this is not the correct way to do things, that now they have to wait for some time, wait for 6 months, let the scars settle, and after 6 months get a scalp micropigmentation done. And if still some areas remain, that can be grafted by FUE hair transplantation. But not that you have big scars and the whole area is devastated and you plant scalp FUE grafts there. And you're not even taking into consideration future baldness, and these grafts which you are going to utilize in concealing the existing FUE scars can be better utilized as your baldness progresses. Your baldness has not become static yet, because the baldness is going to continue to progress. Whatever you may do, even with finasteride, there will be some amount of continuation of baldness, progression of baldness as the years pass by. Hair transplant is not a technique for stopping the progression of baldness. Even finasteride cannot completely stop the progression. It can only stop the progression by about 60 to 70%. But complete stopping of progression is not even in the ambit of finasteride, oral finasteride. So these are the things, W-plasty, Z-plasty, and for FUE grafts, FUE scars, a scalp micropigmentation. Now the scalp micropigmentation, remember, should be done in a proper clinic which only does scalp micropigmentation. And now there is a trend in which one clinic offers everything. If it's a dermatologist clinic, it will offer you venereal diseases cure, it will offer you lasers, it will offer you fillers, Botox, it will offer you slimming, diet, SMP, hair transplant, whatever you have it, everything under the sky is being offered by every clinic. So this is upon you to go to a specialized clinic. If you want a hair transplant, go to a clinic which only does hair transplant. If you want to get your fillers done, go to a clinic which only does fillers and Botox. If you want lasers, go to only a patient clinic which only does lasers. That is the only place where you will get the worth of your money, ROI, return on your investment. Otherwise, it's just beating around the bush and getting scammed, getting cheated. That's what is happening, and people rue they're having gone to a clinic by just seeing advertisements, getting gullible, seeing advertisements which they couldn't put down, and they called up and they got ensnared, entrapped by the way the front desk was convincing them into getting a hair transplant done or various procedures whatsoever. So do due diligence, go to specialized centers for scalp micropigmentation, because in scalp micropigmentation the whole game is about the dye. If the dye is not good and the dye spreads, God forbid, it bleeds all along, it's going to give a bluish hue to the entire skin surface and it's going to look very unnatural. It is going to look even worse than what the scars were looking like when you thought of scar repair. So these are the things you have to keep in mind while attempting FUT scars and FUE scar revision. Choose a doctor whom you trust and then make sure that the doctor is a specialist in that particular field, not a jack of all trades. And then go ahead, don't make overnight decisions, do not take any decision on a whim, sleep over it for 2 or 3 nights and then take a decision. So that was the talk for the day, and I will be waiting for you to watch my videos on FUT scar revision and FUE scar revision, which will follow. And I hope you enjoy my videos. If you do, please comment in the comment section below what you like about the videos and what you would like additionally to be covered. That means a lot to me because I follow my subscribers, whatever they want covered. I make it a point that I would try my best, if I can be of any value to them in their research before a hair transplant or hair loss treatment, that I can help them as much as I can. So thank you for watching again. If you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Your encouragement keeps me going. Have a nice day and God bless you.